my dad and the president had a bet. The stake was me, and my dad lost. The president told me to pick a good day to enter the palace. It was March, in the 23rd year of Jingha spring. My dad and the president were drinking and playing finger-guessing games. I was squatting on a small wooden raft, watching with great interest. A malt candy the president brought me from his visit to our home dangling from my mouth. The president smiled at me and said, "This gold chain, the gold chain he told me to bring, that's his son." The crown prince was my little follower, because I was cute. The president always wanted me to marry his son. Every time he joked about me becoming his daughter-in-law, I'd get really angry. How could the boss marry her little brother? What about my reputation? If word got out, how could I ever hang out in our neighborhood again? I held up my chubby little hand and said, "Anything else is fine, but not this." The president laughed heartily, looking at me with a big smile. My dad and he, each with a pot of wine, looked like two silly fools, indistinguishable as ruler or subject. The president, his face flushed, leaned into my dad's ear and whispered a couple of sentences. My dad's expression grew serious. I watched, fascinated. Then I heard the president say, "Lost," he added. "I'll give you that Spring Palace painting." I had seen the president's Spring Palace painting. The people in it were all naked. "Mom, Dad wants to look at dirty pictures." "Oh, little ancestor, why are you selling out your own father?" "I want to see too." "See what? What do you understand?" "Humph, youngin'." All right, let her see." "Good parenting, huh?" The president said. "You're not bad either," my dad said. The president laughed. "Ah, my son is at the age to get a wife now." My dad chuckled. "Well, that depends on His Majesty's luck." The president and my dad rolled up their sleeves. The two of them, like brothers. 202. 3 stars shine, 4 stars wealth, 5, oh leader, 6, oh 6, 7, oh 7. So clever. Before they even finished shouting, my dad lost. The president held my dad's hand, suspended in midair, 2 big hands clasped. I watched, amused, lamenting the decline of public morals. My mom once told me that if I ever saw a woman flirting with my dad, I had to tell her, and she would personally go teach my dad a lesson. Although I didn't understand why. If another woman flirted with my dad, it was my dad who got beaten. I was always happy to see my dad get a beating. When my dad got a beating, I was always very happy, because it meant he wouldn't check my memorization that night. He'd be busy trying to please my mom. Although the president wasn't a woman, I hadn't even looked at page 105 of the Tao Te Ching that my dad wanted me to memorize today. I really didn't want my dad to hit my palm, so I was preparing to go tell my mom. But as soon as my butt left the small wooden stool, I saw the president looking at me with a sly grin. He really didn't look like an emperor. He said, "Little Ewer, pick a good time to enter the palace." I didn't understand what the president meant by that. Why did I need to pick a good time to enter the palace? It wasn't like I didn't go to the palace often to play with Gold Chain. When it rained or was cloudy, there were so many earthworms in the imperial garden. I liked to stand on a rock and order Gold Chain to catch earthworms for me. Gold Chain was really good at catching earthworms. Today, it wasn't cloudy and it wasn't raining. Gold Chain came to my house. She was wearing a white jade-colored robe, gleaming white. She stood in front of me, a head taller than me. I secretly tiptoed when she wasn't looking, but she was still taller than me, so I stood on a stone stool. I happily looked at the crown of her head. Gold Chain said he wanted to marry me as his wife. I asked, "What is a wife?" Gold Chain looked up at me. Gold Chain's eyes were sparkling in the sun. I looked down at Gold Chain. Gold Chain grinned, showing her white teeth. Her white teeth and the white jade-colored robe together made me dizzy. He said, "A wife is someone you kiss every night, like my dad and mom?" I had seen my dad and mom secretly kissing many times at night. Gold Chain smiled. "Yes, just like your dad and mom. My mom can hit my dad, so can I hit you?" Gold Chain's smile froze for a moment. "You can," he said, "but hitting is a sign of affection, and scolding is love. If you hit me, it means you're kissing me, so when you want to hit me, you can kiss me instead." I thought about it and decided Gold Chain made a lot of sense, so I kissed Gold Chain. Gold Chain's face turned as red as the sunrise I saw every morning. I said, "Gold Chain, there's a sun rising on your face." Gold Chain's face got even redder. I said, "Gold Chain, if I become your wife, can I still be your big brother?" Gold Chain said, "Being my wife is much more impressive than being my big brother." I smiled triumphantly. In the days leading up to becoming Gold Chain's wife, I was especially happy every day, because my mom was chasing my dad around and scolding him constantly because of this. My dad hadn't checked my memorization in days. My dad didn't even dare to breathe heavily in front of my mom. I felt my dad was too pitiful. So I said, "Dad, don't suffocate yourself. If you suffocate, it'll just be me and Mom, and I can't handle her." My dad's eyes welled up with tears and he said, "Little your dad is useless." I said, "Dad, let me tell you, that finger-guessing game isn't played like that." For the next hour, I imparted all 14 years of my finger-guessing experience to my dad. My dad listened, half asleep. I finally realized where my habit of getting sleepy whenever I had to memorize came from. When I finished speaking, my dad woke up. I asked him, "Dad, what did you dream about?" He said he dreamed I hadn't memorized the Tao Te Ching for him yet. I said, "Dad, you're really immoral." April 7th, 23rd year of Jinghe Spring. It was the first time I wore such a red dress. It was so red, like 1,000 roses had been sprinkled onto it. My mom said it was true red, and only the main wife could wear true red. I didn't understand what main wife meant. I only knew it looked really good. I asked my mom, "Can I wear it again later?" My mom said, "This dress can only be worn once." I was a little sad. Such a beautiful dress could only be worn once, knowing I could only wear it this one time. I wasn't too angry when my dad later wiped his tears and snot all over my dress. Normally, I would have cried long ago. When I got into the big bridal sedan chair, my mom's eyes were teary. My dad was crying even more profusely than my mom, clinging to my sleeve and asking, "Can't you not go? If I don't go, will you support me?" "I'll support you." I was speechless. I said, "Dad, have you forgotten why I'm leaving? Isn't it because you wanted to look at dirty pictures?" My mom heard that and angrily kicked my dad again. My dad clutched his backside and said, "Daughter, if that little crown prince dares to bully you there, you tell your dad. I don't care if he's the crown prince or the king of heaven, I'll still beat him up." I said, "Dad, you can't even beat Mom." My dad glanced at my mom. "Then let your mom beat him up." My mom angrily kicked my dad again. My dad held me and cried. I felt embarrassed and covered myself tightly with the red veil. That large bridal sedan chair moved very steadily, as expected of a sedan chair carried by 8 people. The incense inside made me feel lightheaded. I was almost falling asleep when we arrived. I went from the soft sedan chair to a soft, slumped bed, and felt even more like sleeping. What to do? But I didn't dare to sleep. My back was ramrod straight. That woman called the nanny. She was very fierce. Whenever I thought of sleeping, she would call out to me. Seeing her reminded me of my old wet nurse. My wet nurse was a very good person, but she was so fierce she controlled my dad and mom's lives. If I didn't obey, she would hit my palm. I was really afraid this nanny would hit my palm. I kept my eyes wide open, staring at the big red cloth in front of me. I felt like the whole world had turned red. So when Gold Chain lifted my veil, I saw Gold Chain's red face. Gold Chain's face was red, and his eyes were bright. Before, Gold Chain liked to wear white clothes, but I thought he looked really good in red clothes too. Gold Chain in white clothes looked like a little immortal. In red clothes, if you gave him a sword, I felt he could conquer the martial arts world at any moment. White clothes gave him an ethereal aura. Red clothes gave him a chivalrous aura. Both looked good. Gold Chain was the best looking and oldest among my group of followers. My followers were all 7 or 8 years old, still wiping their own butts. Only Gold Chain was 2 years older than me. With Gold Chain as my follower, I felt very prestigious. Gold Chain lifted my veil. Under the fierce nanny's gaze, he ate dumplings with me. Those dumplings weren't delicious at all. They were all raw. The nanny smiled and asked me, "Are they raw?" I said, "They're not cooked." Gold Chain said with a smile, "Raw." The nanny said, "May you have many sons." Gold Chain smiled and said, "Reward them." The nanny and a group of little palace maids received their rewards and respectfully left. I felt that Gold Chain in the palace was different from the Gold Chain who used to chase me. The Gold Chain in the palace was much more impressive than when he caught earthworms for me. I watched Gold Chain give an order, and the fierce nanny immediately walked away respectfully. I watched her close the door. My back, which had been straight, now bent like a dog's tail grass flattened by the wind. I kicked off my shoes directly and lay sprawled on the bed. So comfortable, I said. "Gold Chain, you should come lie down too. It's so comfortable." Gold Chain smiled helplessly and lay beside me. He had a scent, the same scent I smelled on the president. I had asked the president about it, and the president said it was an incense only the most noble people could use. At the time, I thought he was really bragging, but now, to be honest, Gold Chain's scent was really nice. As I smelled the faint scent of Gold Chain, I felt a little drowsy. Just as my drool was about to fall onto the red silk quilt, I remembered something very important. I opened my eyes and leaned close to Gold Chain's face. I said, "Gold Chain, we haven't rounded the room yet. I had read those storybooks. When you get married, you have to kiss." I put my arm around Gold Chain's neck, before he could even react, and pecked his mouth. "There, we've rounded the room." Gold Chain's face went red and then white. I asked, "Gold Chain, what's wrong?" Gold Chain said, "Little Ewer, this isn't rounding the room." I was annoyed. "You're talking nonsense. All those storybooks I read said you have to kiss when you get married." Gold Chain asked, "Then what happens after kissing?" "In the storybooks, it always jumped to the next day after kissing." He really stumped me, but I was Gold Chain's big brother. How could a big brother not know everything? I couldn't lose face, so I said, "Gold Chain, I'm your big brother. Is there anything wrong with what Big Brother says?" Gold Chain looked at me and smiled, his eyes narrowing. After a while, she said, "Oh well, you're still young. Let's talk about it in a couple of years." This made me really angry. I hated it when people said I was young. I puffed out my cheeks and said, "Gold Chain, if you say I'm young again, I'm really going to hit you." Gold Chain cupped my cheeks. She said, "Little Ewer, didn't I tell you before that when you want to hit me, you can kiss me instead?" I thought about it, and she was right. So I pointed my finger at Gold Chain and said, "So Gold Chain, don't make me angry anymore. If you make me angry again, I'll really get mad at you." Gold Chain was still cupping my cheeks. I saw her long eyelashes. I heard her whisper in my ear, "Little brat." A scholar can be killed but not called a little brat. I cupped Gold Chain's face with my other hand and gave him a counterattack. I kissed her many times with all my might, but why didn't Gold Chain look scared at all? Instead, she looked very happy. This made me feel utterly unimpressive. I was furious. Then, in my anger, I kissed Gold Chain many more times. Gold Chain was busy, but no matter how busy she was, she would kiss me every night. I didn't understand why we had to kiss even when I wasn't angry. Gold Chain said that only husbands and wives did that. "You are my wife, so you have to kiss me every night. You are my wife, so when you're angry and want to hit me, you can kiss me." Gold Chain had me all tangled up. I pretended to understand and nodded. Then I asked him, "Then will you kiss other people?" Gold Chain smiled and said, "I will only kiss Little Ewer in this lifetime." I happily lay in Gold Chain's arms and slept soundly. I slept in Gold Chain's arms every day and slept soundly every day. March, 24th year of Jingha spring. The flowers in the garden had all bloomed. I heard Gold Chain was going to have a concubine. The emperor had 3 palaces and 6 courtyards. And Gold Chain also had a main wife and concubines. I was Gold Chain's main wife, and the concubine was Gold Chain's concubine. When Gold Chain got married, I secretly went to see the person Gold Chain was marrying. Her clothes weren't as red as mine were that day, but they were still very beautiful. Her veil covered her face completely, so I couldn't see anything, but she was so tall. She was almost as tall as Gold Chain. Gold Chain was already very, very tall. She was a woman, yet she was almost as tall as Gold Chain. The nanny said that women from the borderlands were generally tall. I was very envious, only regretting that I wasn't born in the borderlands. That night, as usual, I lit a candle and waited for Gold Chain. The nanny extinguished my candle and told me I didn't have to wait tonight. I asked the nanny why, and the nanny said the crown prince would be with the concubine tonight. I nodded, bewildered, thinking that Gold Chain couldn't kiss me tonight. He was going to kiss his concubine. I remembered what Gold Chain had told me before, that he would only kiss me in this lifetime. Gold Chain didn't keep his word at all. I decided not to trust him anymore. I lay down, pouting. Although I was angry, the bed was simply too comfortable. Before long, I felt my consciousness fading. I felt someone come and lie beside me. There was a faint scent on her, so familiar. It was Gold Chain's scent. My mouth was touched by something soft. I was embraced, so comfortable. I groggily opened my eyes and saw Gold Chain's dark eyes and dark eyebrows. I asked Gold Chain, "Did you kiss your concubine?" Gold Chain smiled. "I am the crown prince. A crown prince's words are always true. I said I would only kiss you, and I won't kiss anyone else." "Then why did you marry her?" Gold Chain paused for a moment and stroked my head. she said. Little Ewer, there are many things in this world that are beyond our control. Gold Chain marrying a concubine was beyond his control, but my mom said that a woman's life is not like a man's. She can only have one husband. Will that person be sad? I thought about it and fell asleep in Gold Chain's arms. The next day, the nanny woke me up early. She said the concubine had come to pay her respects to me. It was the first time someone had come to pay their respects to me. I was afraid of making her wait too long, so I hastily put on my clothes and went to the main hall. In the main hall, I saw the face I hadn't seen yesterday. She was really beautiful. Her eyes looked like they had blue sapphires in them. I asked her name, and she said she was called Qiqiao. I walked around her. I said, "You're really beautiful." Qiqiao said, "Not as much as the crown princess." I said, "Don't call me crown princess. Can you call me Little Ewer?" Qiqiao's eyes curved into a smile, and she said, "Okay." I felt like Qiqiao and I clicked immediately, mainly because I thought Qiqiao was beautiful, and I liked to play with beautiful people. I went to Qiqiao's courtyard every day. Qiqiao had many new and exciting things I had never seen before. She wore clothes I had never seen, adorned with red and yellow jewels. They were so beautiful. Qiqiao was very generous and made a set just for me. I loved it. Qiqiao could ride horses and shoot arrows. She often told me about her time in the desert. When Qiqiao spoke of the desert, there was a sparkle in her eyes I had never seen before. Her blue eyes were very deep, and her nose bridge was delicate. She was like a desert poppy. She seemed to dislike Gold Chain very much. She never smiled when she saw the crown prince. I thought it was understandable. Qiqiao was the princess of Northern Desert after all. Qiqiao told me she was an abandoned hostage. I asked Qiqiao what a hostage was. Qiqiao said a hostage was someone who could die at any time. When she said this, her clear blue eyes were like surging lake water. Such beautiful eyes. Would they disappear at any moment? I took Qiqiao's hand and said, "Qiqiao, don't be afraid. I'll protect you." Qiqiao smiled. She said, "Okay, little friend." She didn't believe I could protect her. I wrinkled my nose and looked at Qiqiao seriously. I said, "I'm not a little friend anymore. I won't let you die. I'll tell you a secret. My dad is the Grand Chancellor. He's very powerful, and I have many followers. Although they're not powerful, their dads are all very powerful." Qiqiao looked at me and laughed even louder. Qiqiao gave me a sachet. The sachet was very beautiful. It had 2 pretty lilies embroidered on it. White lilies outlined with gold thread, nestled together. My name and Qiqiao's name were embroidered at the bottom of the sachet. Qiqiao asked me if I liked it. I said, "I absolutely adore it. How could I not?" Qiqiao looked at me and smiled, saying, "As long as you like it." That night, I proudly showed Gold Chain the sachet Qiqiao gave me. Gold Chain seemed to like it too. Holding it in his hand and looking at it back and forth, Gold Chain asked me what the concubine said when she gave it to me. I said she asked me if I liked it. "What did you say?" I said I absolutely adored it. Gold Chain clenched the sachet in his hand. I asked him if he wanted one too. He said he didn't. I thought he was being insincere, because he didn't talk much the whole night, looking preoccupied. I thought maybe it was because Qiqiao only gave one to me and not to him, and he was unhappy. Thinking about this, I went to find Qiqiao first thing the next morning. When I got there, Qiqiao hadn't woken up yet. Her black hair spread out like ink on the dark green quilt. Her skin was so fair, and she looked as beautiful as a fairy when she slept. Qiqiao slowly opened her eyes and saw me. She smiled and asked me if there was anything I needed. I asked her if she could give me another sachet like the one she gave me yesterday. Qiqiao agreed readily. Before I could say Gold Chain wanted one too, I asked Qiqiao if she could embroider her name and Gold Chain's name on the sachet. Qiqiao said no. I begged her, "Please, sister, just embroider one." Qiqiao found a sachet from somewhere and threw it to me, then walked away without looking back. I felt Qiqiao was angry, but I didn't know why. I took the sachet Qiqiao gave me back and spent an entire afternoon embroidering it myself. Finally, I had embroidered Qiqiao's and Gold Chain's names. Actually, there was a reason I wanted to embroider Qiqiao's and Gold Chain's names. I liked Gold Chain, and I also liked Qiqiao, but they didn't seem to like each other very much. I hoped that this sachet could somewhat ease their relationship. I pricked myself with the needle many times that afternoon. By the end, I was almost moved by myself. What a selfless act of dedication this was. That night, I showed Gold Chain the sachet I had painstakingly embroidered. I told Gold Chain that Qiqiao had given it to her. Gold Chain looked at the sachet, then at me. his face frighteningly cold. I really didn't understand why Gold Chain was angry again. His anger was terrifying. He just kept a cold face and didn't speak. I asked Gold Chain if he liked it. Gold Chain said the embroidery was really ugly. I was so angry, but I held it in. I was really being taken for a fool. I kindly wanted to improve their relationship, but instead, both of them were angry at me. I finally got Chichiao to give me a sachet, and then spent an afternoon laboriously embroidering their names, and now he didn't want it. He had to take it, whether he wanted it or not. I tried to secretly hang the sachet on his belt when Gold Chain wasn't paying attention, but Gold Chain discovered me. Gold Chain grabbed my wrist. I said, "Gold Chain, you're hurting my hand." Gold Chain asked me, "You really want me to wear a sachet with my name and another woman's name embroidered on it?" I said, "How is Chichiao another woman? Chichiao is your concubine." Gold Chain's face darkened. "Besides," I added, "I spent an entire afternoon embroidering this. You can't not want our names." Gold Chain flung my hand away and left. He took the sachet with him when he left. I was furious. I decided I wouldn't talk to him for the whole next day, but seeing that he took the sachet, even if he didn't really like it, I'd only ignore him for half a day. I was playing shuttlecock in the courtyard. Chichiao had given me this shuttlecock. Its feathers were big, and the colors were bright and vibrant. I was happily playing when I heard the nanny whispering to a little palace maid that northern desert had been conquered and the Chanyu had died. Wasn't the Chanyu Chichiao's father? This shuttlecock was given to Chichiao by her father, the Chanyu. If the Chanyu died, then Chichiao would be fatherless. If my dad died, I would definitely be very sad. What about Chichiao? Chichiao must be very sad now, to death. I went to find Chichiao. When I saw Chichiao, she was lying on a reclining chair under a tree. Chichiao smiled when she saw me. Her smile really made me feel sad. I went over and hugged her. She smelled nice. Chichiao said, "Little Yuer, my home is gone." I said, "Chichiao, from now on, I am your family." Chichiao's body trembled as she lay on my shoulder. She stayed on my shoulder for a long time. I didn't dare to move. My shoulder was aching. After a long time, Chichiao lifted her head from my shoulder. Chichiao said to me, "Little Yuer, come with me." I asked, "Where?" "Don't you always think the palace is boring?" she asked. "Shall I take you out of the palace to play?" "Okay." Chichiao grabbed my hand. I thought for a moment and then asked Chichiao, "Can I bring Gold Chain with me out of the palace?" Gold Chain must be very bored staying in the palace every day. Chichiao's grip on my hand tightened. She said, "Little Yuer, let's sneak out. Don't tell the crown prince, okay?" I asked Chichiao why. Chichiao's blue eyes stared at me for a long time. She said, "If the crown prince knows, we won't be able to go out." Gold Chain, no, he will, Little Yuer, but Gold Chain won't be able to find me. I don't want him to worry. Chichiao said, "We'll be back soon. He won't not be able to find you." "Really?" Chichiao's eyes widened. Her grip on me tightened even more. "Really?" she said. "Chichiao, you're hurting my hand." Chichiao loosened her grip. Chichiao said she would take me out of the palace in 7 days. She said not to tell anyone. Otherwise, she wouldn't take me out to play. I tightly guarded the secret of my going out of the palace, counting down the days on my fingers. Gold Chain asked me why I was so happy these past few days. I asked, "Gold Chain, do you like candy figures?" Gold Chain smiled. "What, you want to make one for me?" I shook my head. I said, "It's a secret." Gold Chain must have never eaten candy figures. I used to eat them often before I entered the palace. This time when I go out, I'm going to bring one back for Gold Chain to try. I thought I was being so good to Gold Chain. No matter what I did, I always thought of Gold Chain. My mom said that if someone is good to you, you should be good to them too. Gold Chain was very good to me, so I should be good to Gold Chain too. I told Gold Chain this idea. Gold Chain asked, "Little Yuer, are you willing to be good to me just because I'm good to Little Yuer?" I thought about it and felt that it wasn't entirely that. As for what the other part was, I couldn't think of it. I seriously told Gold Chain, "Gold Chain, it's because I want to be good to you." Gold Chain smiled. She gently kissed my thin eyelids. 7 days passed quickly. I thought Chichiao would take me out during the day in a sedan chair, but I didn't expect Chichiao to take me out at night. I was a little anxious, but I couldn't buy candy figures at night. "Why do you want to buy candy figures?" "I want to bring a candy figure for Gold Chain." The wind blew Chichiao's hair. Chichiao seemed to have made a decision. She said to me, "Little Yuer, come with me. Shall we go to Northern Desert? To your homeland?" "Yes." "Then what about Gold Chain?" Will I not be able to see Gold Chain anymore? No. Chichao's blue eyes filled with tears. Little Yor, didn't you say you wanted to be my family? The crown prince has many people with him. I only have you. Little Yor. Chichao's tears caught me off guard. I frantically wiped Chichao's tears. Chichao cried even harder. Chichao was very pitiful. If I didn't stay with her, she would have no family. Gold Chain had many people with him. He wouldn't miss me. I nodded. I said, Chichao, don't cry anymore. I'll stay with you. Okay? Chichao had me put on a gray cotton and linen cloth dress, and holding my hand, we secretly slipped out of the palace in a sedan chair. I looked back at the big palace gate, thinking that if I left this time, I would truly never see Gold Chain again. Would Gold Chain miss me? What if he forgot about me? Thinking about this, I felt incredibly sad. My chest felt empty. I secretly shed tears, but Chichao was already very sad, and I didn't want her to see me sad again. So I covered my face with my sleeve and secretly wiped away my tears. That big palace gate got farther and farther away from me until the sedan chair I was in turned a corner, and the gate disappeared from my sight. We turned several more corners, and the carriage stopped. I saw the 9th prince. Behind the 9th prince were many people. Chichao cut off a token from her body and gave it to the 9th prince. This token was given to me by my Chanyu for my next life. He was afraid there would be a day like this. With this token, the 40,000 cavalry of Northern Desert will obey your orders. Good. I peeked out from behind the curtain. I saw the 9th prince. We used to play together before. I waved to the 9th prince, but he looked at me furiously. Didn't you say you would come out alone? Why did you bring her out too? Chichao heard this, turned to look at me, and smiled. He said, you don't need to worry about that. The 9th prince slapped Chichao. You crazy woman. You're snatching a woman from the crown prince. How dare I, a mere woman, snatch a woman from the crown prince? I'm just too lonely. Chichao smiled at him. Do you know that by bringing her out, there's a very high chance you won't be able to go back? I can gamble my life. Fool, you're all fools. The crown prince is a fool, and you're a fool too. I never knew this fool had such magic, to make both of you so utterly infatuated. The 9th prince pointed at me and said that I was a fool. I heard him but didn't get angry. Many people had called me a fool. If I got angry every time, I'd die of anger. Although many people called me a fool, Gold Chain and Chichao never did. That was probably why I liked them. Alright, you two hurry up and leave. I can only buy you one night. Leave quickly while the crown prince isn't in the Eastern Palace. Thank you, Chichao said. It's just an equal exchange. I listened from the side. Although we were all about the same age, there were many things they said that I didn't understand. I seemed to be really silly. I saw the dark, silhouetted mountains in the distance and felt they looked like sleeping people. I remembered the sleeping postures of the nanny and the little palace maids when I left, which were very similar to the outlines of these mountains. Everyone was asleep tonight. No one found out that Chichao and I left. How magical. I looked around and saw a mass of people on horseback, dark and ominous. The sound of horse hooves thudded, and I felt the earth shaking. Those people were getting closer and closer to us. I saw Gold Chain. I didn't know whether I should wave to Gold Chain. The 9th prince and Chichao also saw the chaos. Chichao pulled me and ran. I was at a loss, bewildered, and followed Chichao, running. I saw Gold Chain chasing after us. Gold Chain's eyes were so red. I broke free from Chichao's hand. I wanted to go hug Gold Chain. Chichao called my name. I finally realized that I couldn't go with Chichao. If I went with Chichao, I would never see Gold Chain again. Gold Chain was a very important person to me. Gold Chain's white jade-colored robe was getting closer and closer. I turned around to tell Chichao, Chichao, I don't want to leave the palace anymore. But then I saw Chichao raise her bow and arrow. The bow was drawn taut like a full moon. The arrow shot towards Gold Chain. I turned and met the arrow, which gleamed with cold light. Little Yor. Gold Chain and Chichao shouted my name simultaneously. I fell into Gold Chain's arms. Many people immediately surrounded us. I saw they were the people Gold Chain brought. I looked at Gold Chain and said, Gold Chain, I haven't bought you candy figures yet. Gold Chain's tears fell on my face. As I fainted, I heard Gold Chain say, Little Yor, you saved my life again. I saved Gold Chain because I blocked an arrow for her. But why did Gold Chain say again? When I opened my eyes, I saw Gold Chain. Gold Chain had dark circles under her eyes. Gold Chain seemed very happy to see me awake, so happy that her eyes were red. She hugged me. She said, "Little Yor, I'm sorry. It was me who was naughty and ran around. It was me who didn't protect you well. Little Yor, I'm sorry." I looked at Gold Chain and touched her red eyes. "Gold Chain, I'm fine." Gold Chain kissed my eyes, tickling me. I chuckled, but as I laughed, my chest hurt terribly. Gold Chain quickly called for the imperial physician, who had a long beard. The imperial physician knelt on the ground and took my pulse. He said a lot of things I didn't understand, but I vaguely heard him say that I had lingering illness from a previous drowning incident. Had I drowned before? I asked Gold Chain. Gold Chain's eyes turned red again. He told me he was sorry again. Why was he always saying sorry today? I said, "Gold Chain, if you say sorry again, I'm really going to get angry." Gold Chain said, "Sorry, I won't say it anymore." I laughed, and he laughed too. Gold Chain held me in his arms. His stubble rubbed my face, tickling me. I fell asleep in Gold Chain's arms. Being sick was just too miserable. Every day I had to drink very bitter medicine. Just seeing that dark liquid made me want to vomit. The nanny handed me the medicine. I clamped my mouth shut, absolutely refusing to drink it. I wasn't going to drink it. I hated drinking medicine the most. The nanny said, "How can your wound heal if you don't drink the medicine?" I still refused. The nanny had no choice. She told a little palace maid to call Gold Chain. I pouted at the nanny, thinking, even if the King of Heaven came, I wouldn't drink it. Then Gold Chain came. Gold Chain was very busy every day. He had many small notebooks to read. I thought Gold Chain was even more powerful than the King of Heaven, because when she looked at me, I felt that bowl of dark medicine turned into pink, strawberry-flavored liquid. But when Gold Chain brought the medicine to my lips, the bitter taste, like rotting old tree roots, again swept through my nose and mouth. I wrinkled my nose and pushed Gold Chain away. I kept my mouth tightly shut, guarding it strictly. Gold Chain tilted her head back and took a big gulp of the medicine herself. I was stunned. Was Gold Chain sick too? And she didn't even frown. She even smiled at me. I was so surprised that I slightly parted my lips. Gold Chain pinched my chin and leaned over me. She smelled so good. The bitter medicine smell was diluted by her scent. I felt her soft tongue. My heart pounded like thunder. I stared blankly at Gold Chain's long eyelashes. I don't know when that bowl of dark medicine had been emptied. I said, "Gold Chain, more." Gold Chain had a mischievous smile in her eyes. "More what?" I suddenly felt too shy to say it. Gold Chain leaned closer, pinching my chin. Her soft lips pressed against mine again. She pried open my teeth, and her soft tongue intertwined with mine. The tip of my tongue tingled, like it had been stung by a honey-dipped bee, both sweet and numb. I started to like drinking medicine, liking the way Gold Chain's long eyelashes brushed my cheek when I drank it. I gradually recovered, but every time I stood in the courtyard for a little while, the nanny would still make me wear a very thick cape. Even though the crabapple flowers were blooming, I still had to wear such a thick cape. I remembered the clothes Chichiao gave me, those covered with big and small pearls. I hadn't seen Chichiao in a long time. I missed her a little, but I didn't tell Gold Chain this, because I remembered the terrifying look in Gold Chain's eyes when he looked at Chichiao that night. Gold Chain didn't like Chichiao. My mom said that forced relationships don't last. Chichiao and I were friends. It wasn't necessary for Gold Chain and Chichiao to become friends. Without Chichiao to play with, I was a little bored. Gold Chain had been even busier these days. I heard someone in the palace say that the emperor was critically ill. The emperor was critically ill? The last time I saw the emperor was when he brought me malt candy. Was that kind old man sick? I asked Gold Chain if I could go see the emperor. Gold Chain held my hand and said, "Okay." Through the thick curtains, I saw the emperor. He had lost so much weight. I could barely recognize him. I leaned out, and the emperor saw me. Forcing a smile, he motioned for me to come closer. He stroked my head and said, "Little Yor has grown so beautiful. I almost didn't recognize you." I thought, I almost didn't recognize you either, but I didn't dare to say it. The emperor looked at me, then glanced at Gold Chain, who had been standing behind me with her head bowed. He sighed. He said, "What I told you. Think about it again. The Qing family's young daughter has reached marriageable age." Gold Chain kept her head down. I could only see the crown of Gold Chain's head, circles within circles, like a small vortex. "You will be the son of heaven in the future. I don't oppose you making the crown princess your empress, but someone must be in charge of the imperial harem. How can the crown princess currently command respect?" This son's life was saved by Chen Qi at the age of 5. Chen Qi saved this son from drowning. Now Chin-Chi has saved this son from the arrow. This son has no way to repay her. This son only asks to be with his wife and have no one else in his life. Nonsense. You are the son of heaven. Procreating is your duty. This son has no great ambitions. This son only seeks to be with one person for life. Between the country and my wife, this son chooses the latter. Good. Chooses the latter. That frail old man. I don't know where he got the strength, but he smashed a teacup. Gold Chain led me out of the main hall. It was raining outside. Gold Chain held an umbrella and slowly walked with me. The rain soaked her shoulders. Spring, 25th year of Jing Spring. Gold Chain drove a carriage and took me out of the palace. The 9th prince was now wearing the imperial yellow robe. I asked him if it was worth it. He smiled, gripping my hand, his face serene. He said, I don't want her to suffer even a single grievance. From the day I married her, between the throne and her, I had already chosen her. Actually, I knew you had been secretly colluding with military forces and plotting a rebellion, but I never wanted this throne in the first place. So, whatever you did that night, I simply pretended not to see. That woman, let her escape. All I need is my wife by my side. Gold Chain and I rode off on horseback. We went to a small town in Jiangnan. We worked from sunrise to sunset. This place had so many new and fascinating little trinkets I had never seen before. I heard people say that the former crown prince had passed away, and the crown princess was heartbroken and was buried with the crown prince. The 9th prince ascended the throne. Winter, 26th year of Jing Spring. I ran out to buy candy figures for Gold Chain. I bought 2. Mine was a little cat, and Gold Chain's was a little fox. I was eating my candy figure and walking home, but I kept feeling like someone was secretly following me. I quickened my pace. Little Ewer, the person who had been following me, called out my name. I turned around and saw the person wearing a snow-white mink coat. Their eyes were the color of the sky. She stood quietly in the snow, like a painting. Chi-Chiao? I called out uncertainly. Chi-Chiao's blue eyes filled with tears. I asked her why she was here. Chi-Chiao said she was going home and happened to see me here. I wiped the tears from Chi-Chiao's face. Chi-Chiao asked me, can I kiss you? I looked at her seriously. You can't kiss my mouth. Only Gold Chain can kiss my mouth. Chi-Chiao kissed my forehead. She said, I thought you were dead. I said, I'm perfectly fine. She said, it's good that you're well. She said, little Ewer, I'm leaving. I said, goodbye. She said, goodbye. I watched Chi-Chiao walk farther and farther away. I turned around and saw Gold Chain. Gold Chain was holding my cape, standing in the distance, watching me. The cold wind swept around him, and he pulled me into his arms. I asked him what was wrong. He said, I was so scared. Scared of what? I was afraid you'd go with her again. I said, Gold Chain, I'm afraid of bitterness, but you are sweet. Gold Chain smiled, and in her eyes, there was a tiny reflection of me. So I like to eat candy, and I can't leave you. Little Ewer, what's wrong? Let's have a child.